Hello, I'm Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying. Here at one of my favorite spots, the barbershop, where we know if you're gonna complain here, then you better provide solutions.
Good.
It's good. I firmly believe when we make other people's problems part of our conversations without providing solutions or prayer, then we become part of the problem. I want to be able to provide people with a platform where they can freely express their views on such topics as education, social issues, health and fitness. Now that's good. Or sports. So please join me so we can complain and provide solutions together.
Hey, what's going on, peoples? This is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, where if you're going to complain, bring some solutions to the table. I am live from Terry Studios. Terry Studios, I'm out here live. And I just want to, cut to the chase that my show is free. Doesn't cost anybody anything. All registered county commissioners, as well as Board of Education candidates, have been invited to attend the show. And my special guest today is going to be Miss Latina, aka Tina Wilson, who is running for Charles County Commissioner President. And so we're going to bring her in, and at the same time, we hope you enjoy the show. So we are actually about to bring her in right. And like I said, welcome. I had some technical difficulties because I'm outside in the garage. My wife told me that she has to cook, and when she cooks, she needs music. So guess what? I'm in the garage. So welcome, Miss Latina, and I said AKA Tina Wilson. And how are you doing?
I am blessed. I'm glad to be here to have this conversation.
And for those that may not know, her face may be familiar. She is currently the vice chair of the Charles County Board of Education that is running for Charles County Commissioner President. So just wanted to make sure when you saw her, like, wait a minute, she's running for the board, so she's running for Commissioner President. So, but before we start, actually, you know what? Let's start with tell us about Tina the person first. Tell us about Tina the person first.
So Tina the person is a blessed person that was born and raised in Charles County. I actually grew up in a little community south of La Plata called Issue, Maryland, on a small farm. I attended Charles County Public Schools. I went off to an HBCU, University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And while I was attending University of Maryland Eastern Shore, my original major was accounting. And as I got to my junior year, I just couldn't envision myself for the rest of my life being an accountant. And so I had the good fortune of meeting the ROTC professor. And I changed my major to business, and he encouraged me to sign up for ROTC and take engage in one tour in the United States Army, get your master's degree, and then come back to Charles County and live. Well, it became a career, a 20-year career, and I had the very good fortune of serving my country, living in a variety of communities. And so Charles County has always been in my rearview mirror. And so when I decided to retire, I chose Charles County. And I chose Charles County because of the community in which I was brought up in, the way that I was raised, the sense of connection and belonging. And so since my retirement, I have been heavily engaged in the community in a variety of different organizations. And through those engagements, I got quickly engaged with the school system. And it was suggested to me, with the amount of engagement with the school system, why don't you run for school board? And I, as you know, I successfully ran for school board. But as time has gone on, and working on the school board and interacting with these different organizations and being out and about in the community, I've felt like there are opportunities to make Charles County better. And change is going to come, but I'm a strong believer that change should be good change. It should be positive change. It should be inclusive change. And I felt that I have the leadership skills necessary to bring change that will allow the same opportunity that was afforded to me to grow up here, the same opportunity for my family to raise families here. I think there needs to be leadership that has vision, that wants to move the county from any county USA to something special and something not the same old, same old. And that's how we got here today, to have this discussion about me running for commissioner president.
Okay, so definitely appreciate you telling us about Tina the person. And for those who's just joining in, once I'm outside in the garage because my wife is going to cook dinner and she wants her music playing, which means I can't find a quiet space in the big house because she says she hears me. And so I'm in the garage. But before we get into your platform, I wanted to clear the air. We spoke about this earlier. You know, I received a text message from a resident regarding a potential June commissioner candidates forum. And it came from, we'll say allegedly, or apparently from your campaign treasurer. So basically, what is your take on that? Because I could see a possible conflict of interest if a form is being put on by your treasurer, or they have something, or they're moderated, whatever it may be. Just wanted to clear the air because I know it's going to be out there. I'd rather you just get in front of it and we can just move on.
And I think that's a great question. That's important to have these kinds of conversations. And this campaign season is a very unique campaign season. I am very aware of the fact that my treasurer is putting together a number of campaign forums. And I can understand that perception. If she alone is asking the questions and formulating the questions, then I have no business participating in that forum.
Okay. All right. All right. So
and it's a valid point. But I think what you just did, what you just asked was a fair question. It was a reasonable question, and it was something brought from a citizen to say, hey, is this the right thing to do? And to have calmly a respectful conversation. And that's what the leadership that I'm going to bring is, to have these types of awkward type questions sometimes, to have them and without fear or demonizations. We have to have conversation in the community.
okay. You heard it here first. She won't participate. So if it is what it is. So we're gonna now move on. So currently you serve as the vice chair of the Charles County Board of Education. What do you feel that you can bring from that position, or even the position as you being a chair, just a member of the board, as the commissioner president?
So that is a great question. And it was when I was reflecting back on what has taken place on the school board with the school system, and where I think potentially the school system could be, and what supports are necessary, and how I could ensure that the school system continued to improve. There was a couple things that I weighed. Number one, do I not run for public office and go back to supporting the school systems with a variety of nonprofit organizations? Because you can serve your community in a number of ways. Number two, do I run again for the school board? And how impactful can I be? And then number three, when I looked at the other positions of public servants, the county commissioner, say for District 1, because I reside in District 1, the commissioner president, delegate, state senate, all of that was heavily weighed. And when I reflected and I thought about the things, the potential things that could help the school system, the best place that I thought was commissioner president. In part because the commissioner president sets the agenda for the county commissioners. Number two, whether it's 49% or 51% of the county's budget is part of the school systems, supports the school system's budget. So I would be in a position to make decisions on financial matters. And number three was something that I believe that the county commissioner president has an opportunity to be more engaged with the school system, celebrate education, value education, and be a leader in the community in promoting education. So it was for me to get through this portion of the question, to decide whether to run for school board or commissioner president. It was an emotional, extremely heavy emotional decision. I believe that Charles County Public Schools, under the current superintendent, as many people know, Dr. Navarro's a new superintendent, which we hired, I think the school system is going to go to bigger and greater things. And I think the county commissioners have an opportunity to step up and support in a greater capacity. Now, that doesn't mean you get into the governing board, the Board of Education's lane, but there are other things that as a commissioner president that you can do to help to support and value education. Okay. The other aspect to that, and I strongly believe this immensely. I believe that the school system is an economic developer. And you as a veteran know, and as many veterans know, that whenever you move to different locations, one of the number one questions that gets asked is, how is the school system?
Well, now I'm going to stop you there only because we're going to touch on that in your platform. But one thing that I did notice, and I tell people, regardless of what your political affiliation or ideologies are, you're going to agree to disagree. And I know we've had, our share of things we agree and disagree with. But the thing to keep in mind with the current board, you're not the only one that's not running for the board. As it stands, there's only going to be two incumbents that are running, which means it's going to be a literally fresh board. And that's going to be something that as citizens, we're going to have to adjust to. I can't recall a time when I was here where there wasn't that many incumbents that weren't even running. So, but, definitely appreciate that portion of why you're running. So you have three main points, and don't get me wrong, everyone has a lot of key points, but you have three that you touch on: economic stability, quality of life, and education. So we're going to start with education first, only because you ended with education. So one of the questions I have is, there are many positives and some negatives about the Maryland Blueprint. And you talked about schools being an economic engine. What is one key quality that the Maryland Blueprint will provide instant impact education while easing Charles County taxpayers in the process?
So easing the tax.
Well, I mean, where the taxpayer, there's money that's coming in that if it wasn't coming in, we would have to find a way to pay it. Right. Or some of these programs. So what are some things that the Maryland Blueprint is providing that we couldn't provide under our current budget?
So one of the things, and I'm still learning the blueprint because there's a lot. It's a for the viewers. It is a great legislative, educational reform that the legislators realize that this education in the state of Maryland isn't where it needs to be to ensure that our students are prepared to be ready for the global economy. And one of the things specifically that I like is the encouragement of working with private pre-K daycare facilities to get our pre-K ready for school. As you know, early development, childhood development is essential, and we don't have enough facilities, construction dollars, educators currently in the public education to deal with the pre-K situation. And one of the things as a county commissioner president is I want to explore and exploit the opportunities of working with daycare pre-K facilities to ensure they're going to be assisted under the blueprint of Maryland. And we are a bedroom community, and we rely heavily on daycare and pre-K. And so this is a great opportunity to allow some of the private facilities to be part of the education process. We need them, and there isn't enough tax dollars to meet the demand. So why not use the private sector to augment that aspect of education?
Okay. Well, that kind of somewhat leads me into my second question, because we talk about the private industry. We also talk about how schools can be that economic engine. But let's face it, we have issues in the county when we deal with homelessness. People that aren't necessarily part of that economic engine because of whatever reason. Mental health services. And then we also have what we call school construction equity, meaning that the schools are designed really not to fit similar programs. So let's say, for instance, I have I'm looking to build cars, auto mechanics, whatever. You may have one school that's built and shaped that way to equip it, but none of the other schools have it. So guess what? There's only going to be one school that's going to have it. So how do you fit or have similar programs or increase these programs for more opportunities when we're talking about STEAM, not necessarily STEM, STEAM, because I believe arts should be part of it, where science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. You know, how would you assist in making sure that we have this equity across the board, especially when it comes to funding? Only because we know that the school board submits the budget, and we know the commissioners can kind of make suggestions, but at the end of the day, they're going to approve it, they're not going to approve it. So what are some things that, bringing that experience as a school board member, that you could lobby for with the other commissioners for this, what I call equity funding?
So that's always a question that comes up about how can we expand programs at schools. Part of it is we need to work with the parents in some instances, and to reassure them that these career fields are career fields that you can raise you can make a living on, you can raise a family on. Those programs cost money. And one of the things that I have found being on the school board is how expensive everything from textbooks. You talked about the automotive, how expensive it is to get those equipment, those testing equipment into each and every school. It's very expensive. And so let's acknowledge that as, okay, if that is ultimately a goal, to expand like those types of programs, we need to, number one, encourage the parents when they're sitting down at the dinner table or the breakfast table to say, okay, baby, we want you to go into these career fields. There are many options. You can make a living. So we've got to expose them for these opportunities. But number two, one of the reasons why I'm running for county commissioners is people want programs, they want services. And I'm not trying to skip or go into another area, but we are way too reliant in this county on residential property tax.
And we're definitely going to talk about that, because that's
And
in
so-
the economic stability portion that I want to touch on.
And-
But
So,
don't mean
but
to cut
can
you
I
off.
finish my thought on that? Because I
Oh, I'm
think,
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
because I do want to expand programs and services, not only in the school and in the community, but in order to do that, we need revenue. And nobody wants to talk about taxes. So we've got to look at we've got to expand business opportunities. We've got to expand the commercial tax base. We've got to expand our portfolio so that other revenue sources are coming in, so that I can sit down with the school system and saying, hey, is there enough interest to expand these programs across the board? Number one, because you can put money into these programs, but if the students are not interested in being an electrician, but they're interested in media production, you have to go where the jobs are at. So there's some interlap. I agree with you. I hear it all the time, but it goes back to, that's why my number one thing as a candidate is we need to create a niche in this county. We are too reliant on residential property tax. We need to expand the business growth, and the business opportunities here. We need to make the county attractive in that way, so that whether it's automotive or it is some sort of IT, expansion of IT specialties, whatever the global economy demands, I think we need to look at that, but we got to build our revenue sources. It is paramount. Okay.
So this brings me now to the economic stability portion of your platform. Maryland's average real property tax is currently 1.06%. Just below the national average of 1.07%. Currently, Charles County's real property tax rate is 1.14%, only second to Baltimore City, which is somewhere around 2.2% or something like that. If elected commissioner president, would you propose that Charles County's real property tax is commensurate with the state of Maryland? Why or why not? I know that was long, so if you need me to repeat it, let me know.
I'm not going to tie it commensurate with another county.
No, I'm talking about commensurate with the state. The state generally comes in with a lower average, and then
Yes.
the county has a discretion to either keep it there or raise it or whatever it may be.
I want to get, I'm not trying to ignore the question. I want, before I make that decision, I want to get in there and figure out what we can do to not be dependent on residential growth. I'm not going to make a commitment until I understand completely what is going on with economic development. Why can't we attract more businesses? I don't want to be committed to a tax rate. I want to work on building businesses and bringing revenue that way.
So I guess this is where, I wouldn't necessarily say issues with either those in office or previous administrations. Whatever we do, when they look at these amenities, it's going to cost money. I don't know any government agency that says, you know what, I'll take less money this year. Everybody wants more money, or very rarely the same. So we know that property taxes is what, for the most part, fuels our revenue. But if in the short term, we're talking about you get elected, the money we kind of know with the our houses with the property values going up that we're gonna pay. You know, I pay $10. I think it's $10 or $5 extra per month because of the value of my house going up. So it's not a drastic. It's not a big jump. If somebody has a big jump, please let me look at your assessment and see why. So everyone has around the same range when it comes to how it goes up. The question is, what are some areas that you would like to see an increase in tax revenue other than property tax, and why? We're talking about amusement tax, hotel tax. What are some ways? Because of my rationale, if those taxes can not necessarily be increased, but more revenue can come in, how do we get there?
Well, you have to consider a lot of approaches. One thing that I am interested in but not committed to is a park and recreational tax, because a lot of folks are talking about pools, not having enough pools,
Don't our taxes pay for those parks?
It's not keeping up. And at the very beginning of the conversations, one of the things that I agree with you on is this county doesn't have enough amenities. It doesn't have enough activities. It doesn't have enough recreational. It doesn't have enough arts and culture.
So basically, it's a tax increase. It's not necessarily a new tax. It just basically raised the tax rate, or it could be a special tax. But anyway, you look at it, and I agree with you. The only reason I say that, if you want something, it costs money. You can't just get it for free. It costs money. And I think that what some people fail to realize. Me personally, I don't mind paying more if I'm seeing the result. I've lived in Fairfax County. Yeah, their tax base is high, but man, they have the amenities out of the yin yang.
Right. So there's two ideas that I'm trying to put a plan together. There is the shutdown of Morgantown coal plant, and that was a tax revenue. It would be great if we could bring a revenue source or some kind of company or solar panel or something at that location, because the way that it's already set up for zoning. The other idea that comes to mind is a lot of folks don't realize that we have a naval base, Indian Head. And I think there could be a lot of advocacy to bring bigger and better programs and have them stationed at Indian Head. And because it's a technical installation, you could build a technical corridor in Indian Head and bring businesses that bring the tax revenue in, so that the citizen, it doesn't fall on the citizen as much as the commercial. And
Now,
I'm not.
Question: would some of that money be going directly to Indian Head because they are the municipality? I'm trying to understand the logic. I don't see where Charles County would get a large portion of that. It would seem like Indian Head would, because it's in Indian Head.
It's a benefit to Charles County, whether it's Indian Head or Charles County. There would be some indirect support or revenue, because people are going to want to move here and work here, buy gas here, buy groceries here,
Okay.
participate in arts and culture. And I've heard that potentially you could possibly bring around 3,000 jobs if you have the right program. A lot of folks that are watching don't realize that many years ago, there were 2 newspapers in this county. And many years ago, when you open up the front page of those newspapers, the activity of Indian Head was very prominent on the front page. Those days are long gone, and it's very rarely do you ever hear anything. And I would love to work with the municipality and with the legislators to see if we could expand some sort of naval program, or maybe we could bring an agency and move just like when they shut down Crystal City, parts of Crystal City got their jobs got disseminated to other areas in the region. Well, as a county commissioner president, I'm going to be advocating for that type of economic development so that we can have a niche. And that's one of the things that I want those that are watching is ask the question, what is Charles County known for? And I want it to not just be a bedroom community. I want it to be a place where you can prosper and you can thrive. And there's a sense that there is smart growth, that somebody is forward thinking about the direction of this county.
I honestly feel like you got my questions in advance, although you didn't, because it kind of leads to it goes into your quality of life. And you know, every candidate states Charles County needs a great quality of life, but every year we're still waiting to see what that looks like, especially here in Waldorf. So how do you plan to make Charles County the quote unquote it, not IT, but the it, considering we're one of the fastest growing and wealthiest counties in Maryland? And what I mean by that, if my boys out in the Baltimore area, I said, hey, you want to come to Waldorf? They're gonna be like, for what? Well, you know, outside of coming to see me, but why would I come there? To eat at a restaurant, to go bass fishing? What? There's no it factor. So what do you think if you had an opportunity to have an it factor here, what would it be?
So that is a great question. And folks really need to pay attention because we have, I'm trying to dive into this very carefully. We have a comprehensive plan. When I say we, Charles County has a comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan talks about those things. They talk about the quality of life. And for the citizens that are watching, it is the vision of the county. And it is a document that takes in public comment, and it is reviewed periodically.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It seemed like something popped on my screen and I'm trying to figure out why it's there.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Wow, saying my operating system is, it seems like I'm having a glitch here. Let me,
And of course you can edit this so that.
Yeah, let me pause this. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So hopefully that is cleared up. And this is what happens when you use technology. You have these things. So hopefully we won't have to come back and do this again. But if so, I will let you know. So I'm sorry, finish your thought. We were talking about the it factor.
So and that's a focal point of what I want to do is to turn Waldorf in, hey, when you open up the magazines and you see the top 5 small cities in the country, I want Waldorf to be at the top of that list. And I started the conversation by trying to share with everyone that we have a written vision. It's called the comprehensive plan. The last time that it was approved is 2016. And it is a document, it's a public document, and it receives public input. And it covers all the qualities of life. But it is not enforceable by law unless it is codified. The question that I have for the citizens that are watching is, why hasn't the 2016 comp plan been codified? Why haven't tier maps have been updated to match the comprehensive plan? And the answer is, we're not going to find the it until we get rid of special interest. And a lot of special interest is having influence in this county. And it is under the current leadership that they don't are not focused on making Waldorf it, or Hughesville it, or any of the other areas. They are distracted by special interests. And so I think it's vitally important that we find that it, that we find that niche, that we work with arts and culture associations to say what would be the right fit and make it a priority. You create a plan, you execute it, and you measure it to see if you are successful. And you go to your citizens and saying, okay, if you don't like jazz, then what do you like? And then you work with these businesses that can provide, or these entities that can provide these types of assets to say, what it specifically, how can we help you make it inviting so that you want to come here? But if you don't have leadership that makes it a priority, Waldorf will become Anywhere USA. It will be strip malls and sprawl development and no amenities and high taxes. And it's frustrating from a perspective, from a perspective that I'm a retiree and I'm old, I'm 59 years old. I remember when the St. Charles Mall was not there. Okay, look what's happening to the mall. And I think any lady that is watching, I'm in a situation where I need a black dress. Do I think about going to the St. Charles Mall because the inventory and the options are so, so plentiful? I'm already thinking I got to go to the Pentagon City Mall or go to Tyson's Corner. And so it's working.
If you want it real quick, K&G, but
if you want it real quick, K&G.
Yeah.
So what you're going to find is I'm going to be someone that's going to be out and about. I'm going to be engaged, and I'm going to work with businesses and say, look, I want to support you. I want to buy that sexy black dress, but I got to know that your inventory is keeping up and that you're meeting the demands of the citizens. How can we help you? How can we promote you? How can we, because Charles County is one of the few counties in the state of Maryland that even has a mall. And, so.
Yeah, and I know the White Marsh, they had us in Baltimore County. Trying to think where else. Well, Rundle Mills. But
right, so it's an asset
inside malls, but they're ancient. They're ancient.
Yeah, and granted, it's a change in economy, but you use those facilities and you adapt with the economy. But more importantly, Derek, you let people in the community know what you're thinking about and saying, help us grow this county so that we're proud. We know that it's prosperous. I will tell you, I am deeply concerned that the speculators know that we are a growing Black community and that they are going to build it based on the market demand, and they're leaving. And I think there needs to be leadership that needs to speak up and say, hey, we want quality stuff, we want availability, and put the pressure that you're just not going to come here and speculate off the backs of the citizens, but you're going to do the right things. And then under my leadership, I'm going to push that, I'm going to promote that, and I'm going to have accountability.
Okay. So before we close out, I just wanted to say, and that was a lot to take in and grasp. And you know what? Let me do the same thing. But I've been here since 2006. And like you and myself, I've traveled the world. I've seen places that have the it factor. And I was shocked when I came here. And not necessarily because they had the it factor, because I said, you know what? I see everything booming. So as it's booming, I know we're going to have some things coming. We got a stadium. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to have some concerts there. That's owned by the county. We have a lot of resources here that we could easily turn into entertainment. but for whatever reason, it's not happening. And I think some of it has to do, people call me a transplant because, I didn't come from the county. I said, okay, but you're taking my transplant money. So my thing is, if you're taking my transplant money, you need to listen to what we say, or give me a portion of my money back and do what you want to do. And that's all I want to say about that. But so as we close, we didn't get a chance to go over the entire platform, meaning that I know there's more things than those 3 topics, but I do know throughout the campaign, you will touch on those because every organization will have specific topics, whatever that may be. But before I give you your closing words, I do this thing called the word games. So with the word games, I have 7 words, and you can say what it means to you in 1 word or a sentence. Just don't give me, a testimonial. Just
Okay.
Keep it short, sweet, a sentence or a word. So with that, I'm going to start. Army or Air Force?
Army, baby. Huh!
But I also was Air Force too. So I did 8 years Army, 20 years Air Force, and my dad's in the Army. So I can appreciate both of them. HBCUs.
UMES.
Okay.
Proud Hawk of class of 1985.
Okay. And I actually was recruited to go to UMES, but I ended up going to Towson. But it's all good. Farm or farming?
We need to protect and preserve, and I am a proud farmer daughter. Farms are a necessity in this county.
Okay. Generation Z, as in Zulu, Generation Z.
We need you, Generation Z. The world needs you. Go forth and do great things.
All right, for those who don't know what Generation Z is, Google it, look it up. Family.
My heart, my soul, my inspiration.
And live music.
As soon as I get off this Zoom call, Luther is on, and it's on. I love live music, and we need to have more live music. As you were talking about the stadium, there are great opportunities to have live music for the young and for the old.
And last but not least, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. You knew I was going to go there.
The first and the best. Wow. What an organization. And Alpha, obviously, I'm as an AKA, I love my organization, but I also have to say to my other sisters out there in other organizations, it is absolutely wonderful to know that in Charles County, we have representation from the other organizations. And I hope as a commissioner president and an AKA that not only can I engage more with my sorors, but also with the other Greeks because they have a very important role in this community.
Okay. So as we close, I'm gonna speak to you like I just see you campaigning. Why should I vote for Tina Wilson as a Charles County Commissioner President?
You should vote for me because I am going to bring the leadership necessary in this county to ensure that future generations can live here, that can thrive, that can prosper, and it will become a place of tremendous pride. And I know there are plenty of opportunities to make things better in different agencies. There are different things that can be improved within the community. As a lifelong resident here, as a combat veteran, and as a person of faith, I will tell the citizens that I will be committed into making a Charles County place to live, to thrive, and to raise a family. And thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation. And I hope that we can have more opportunities to do that.
Okay, so what I have right here, and for those that, like I told you before, I'm in the garage, so you may hear some noises because my wife actually hasn't got back yet. I could have actually been in the house doing this, but guess what? I'm in the garage. That's why you hear some noise. But this is how you can reach Latina Wilson. This is her website right here. And like I tell all candidates, I don't endorse a particular candidate, but I'm here if you need to present a platform, if you need me to clear up something or whatever it may be. This is why I'm here. And at the end of the day, you still have to do your homework. You still have to do your homework. And I'm here just really to give you a lesson, but there's a lot more that you can learn, not necessarily from me, but from actually speaking with the candidate. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come on here. Like all candidates, I wish you the best of luck. And, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.